To recovery with Melvin Negron. Well, I mean, from that point where you left off, it just, it gets deeper, it gets worse. I mean, your whole lifestyle, I mean, not to get into every aspect of what happened in every detail, but I mean, it gets worse.
Yeah, I went from, like I said, inside the prison to taking it to the streets. Becoming one of the first crowns for the state of New Jersey, and having soldiers, as you call it, from Jersey City, Newark, Patterson, Atlantic City, people answering to whatever I needed to be done. At the same time, enforcing like, oh, you need to know this, you need to know that about where you came from, who you are, but there was always an ulterior motive behind it. Yeah, I'm gonna give you this much, how can I put it? I'm gonna give you this much knowledge, but you're still gonna need me to tell you what to do. I'm not gonna give you all of it.
Okay.
And it was back and forth for a few years until I went back to prison and came home again. And this time when I came home, caught another case. I didn't want to go back to prison again, so I went on the run. And moved to Ohio when I was on the run. Out there, I started a chapter out there with, of course, the blessings, because everywhere you went, if there wasn't a chapter there, you had to get blessings from where you got crowned at. So I started a chapter in Dayton, Ohio. Went from there, became the first crown, went from having literally an army of 3 that started it with me to having an army of over 150 from inside the prison and on the streets. Took it from there, went to Chicago, Illinois, got locked up there, became the first crown inside of Cook County Jail. Same within Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, all these different states that I went to. I knew what I needed to do. I knew the position I held. My name already rang bells in the Book of Life, which is our so-called book that tells you who is everyone and what position they hold. So every state that I went to, I always took a position of either first or second crown, and I was literally doing it by manipulating, letting these guys believe that I love them. But at the end of the day, how do I love somebody but I'm hurting them by asking them to do things?
So is it like, alcohol and drug use a part of this whole thing?
Through the whole thing. Through the whole thing. I was introduced to heroin at the age of 18. And it was crazy because I got my first addiction was through bagging it up, opening up a coffee grinder and the powder coming out and hitting my face. It wasn't even about, let me experiment or let me take this drug and go to the next one. No, it was just being a drug dealer and
physiological addiction.
And having it.
Okay.
It became to a point where I had so much of it and I didn't care about, I'm not a drug addict.
Sure.
I hold a position of power. I have money. I come from...
No different than a business owner drinking himself to death and seemingly functioning, running his business. You're a position in the leadership in the Latin Kings, and you're an addict as well, but you don't admit or believe you're an addict because you're functioning.
And that was a violation with the Latin Kings.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to do considered any hard drugs. The only drug you were allowed to do was marijuana if you wanted to do that.
Or alcohol.
Right. And you couldn't do coke, you couldn't do crack, you couldn't do anything. So you're
hiding all this addiction too.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm hiding it. And
so were you addicted to the lifestyle, do you feel, or were you addicted to the nation?
The lifestyle. Yeah, I was addicted to the whole lifestyle because even when there were times I was put in a position where I never denied who I was. I mean, I have a crown on my neck. I have tattoos all over my body saying Latin Kings. Never denied who I was affiliated with, but there were times I was put in a position in Columbus, Ohio. I was locked up, and there was nothing but MS-13s and gangster disciples. So it wasn't like I was running anything over there. But the thing about it was like, I don't know, like the lifestyle still got me. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to hustle. I wanted to have everything that the streets could offer me.
Sure.
Now,
I mean, there is a process of leaving the nation.
Yeah, it's
It's not easy.
No.
And very few people do it. And then I don't know, I've never heard anybody come out and talk about it later on. Like, this is incredible that you're doing this.
Well, actually, it's called Walking the Golden Gates. You have to get permission from the Inca, which the Inca pretty runs nationally. He's the national leader, first crown, you want to call him. You have to get permission from him. I had 28 years in the nation. Like I said, first crown in multiple states. My name was known. I literally bled, sweat, and cried for the nation. So when I asked to walk the Golden Gates, which with their so-called respect was a 3-minute cipher with 3 guys surrounding you and taking body shots for those 3 minutes
So
with
getting
the crowd.
beat out
Yeah.
of the Latin Kings.
And this is supposedly that they love you and respect you.
Wow.
You know?
Leaving a gang, leaving an organization, leaving the Latin Kings. We'll hear more about that with Melvin right after this.